guys became principals right now. I can see that. So, but it's one you've probably seen these before. You can turn it inside out. So silver on that side, turn it, is gold on this side. I'm making assumptions though. I know that some might be principals, others might be administrators, assistant principals, and other people might have just been wandering down the hall, your Google employee, and just came in because it looked comfortable. I'm not sure. So how many of you are principals here? Assistant principals? Something else? Okay, good. All right, well, welcome everybody. So it's gold on one side. Can you see it? See it right here, we can see it. So it's gold on one side, and you can turn inside out, and it's silver on the other side. Like, what if you can't choose? What if you're like, oh, I don't know, it's sort of like the silver side, or it's sort of like the gold side, and you really can't make up your mind. So the good news is that you don't have to make up your mind. You can have one of each. So the interesting thing about computer science is that if you're coming from the outside and you look at computers, you're like, it seems like it's magic, right? So you don't understand how it works. And a lot of things in life are like that, but particularly with technology. So one of our goals as the CS for All team here in Chicago is to demystify this for all of our students. So when our students graduate, our students can look at technology and a computer and go, I know how to make that thing work. I can actually get it to do what I want. I can be a producer of technology, and I'm not just sort of a victim to what people tell me about what technology can and can't do. So is anybody curious how this works? Sure. No? No? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I get it. Your schools, they don't allow you to talk. Oh, wait, you're in charge. I forgot. Oh, okay. So anyhow, this is called the Yoshimoto Cube, and you know that a true magician never reveals his secrets, right? You don't know that?
Yes, we do.
Oh, but I haven't introduced myself. I'm Dale Reed from the University of Illinois, UIC. I'm part of Brenda's extended team here in Chicago, CS for All. And I'm a computer scientist. So a true magician never reveals his secrets.
But you're not a magician.
Ah, yeah, okay, good. So these are hollow on the back,
Yeah,
and so they nest inside of each other like that. And for only $60, you too can go to MoMA.org, Museum of Modern Art in New York, and order $60. And that points out another issue, which is inequity in the world. This should not cost $60. It's plastic, like taped together, right? So we also want our students to understand that technology will give them options of things that they might not have otherwise without the technology. All right, now this is the exercise part of the presentation. If you come around this table right over here. So make a big circle around the table so that you can see the surface. All right, just big circle, big circle. And I see that many of you have strategically turned your name tags over.
No,
So that,
it just happened. I hate name tags, but no, I didn't turn it over.
have you ever noticed that you go to conferences and like they give you the name tags, but they measure them so that when you sit down, it perfectly cuts off your name tag and nobody can see your name? Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. So for the recording, so the rest of the recording was just me going, right? So I sort of prefer it that way. But anyhow, so so don't say anything. But anybody seen one of these before? No. Want to take a look? Take a closer look at it. All right. Oncoplast, why don't you just so yeah. So in school, we try and give our students knowledge and skill, right? And some of that is just information that you learn. Some of it is practice of the things that you have to do. And so if we were to take a piece of plastic like this, okay, and here, can you hold this for me?
Sure.
This will be my mic stand. Thank you. What's your name?
Stephanie.
Hey, Stephanie. I'm Dale. You're still Stephanie. Okay. So, so what we're going to do is something really simple. We are going to train this to stop spinning, right? And so if I spin it, and then we're thinking, I know what you think. You're thinking, well, sure, eventually it's going to stop spinning. But I want it to stop spinning a little sooner when I snap my fingers. Okay, so it still needs a little bit of help there. So let's try again. Okay, so like in school, sometimes you have to give some reinforcement of what the right answer is. So try it again. Applause? Yay. Oh, yeah, thank you. So I know you're thinking that's pretty lame. And to get it to go without me touching it, of course, is a lot trickier. But fortunately, what we have here in the room with us is we have some educators that know how to get the job done. And you know who you are. Nod your head. Right, okay. So what I would like to do to get the job done with this is I want to pass it around the circle, and as you touch it with your hand, I want you to be thinking, I know how to solve this problem. Just think that's all you got to do. Okay, think it, and then pass it off. There you go. It's coming around. Oh, thanks, yeah. Okay, plus you can look at it. Yeah, it's good. Look at that, yeah, it's plastic, basically. Can't even tell if it's made in China or what, right? It's just plastic. It's good. Anybody else want in on this? Because if we have some goodness in the room that doesn't rub off, it just like might not work. Good? All right? Anyone else? Oh, Brenda's in.
That's right.
Julia's in.
All in.
Everybody's in. Okay? You guys touch it? We good? Try. Pretend like you know what's going on. There you go. Nicely done. Nice. Nice. Oh, you didn't touch it yet. That last one, like I almost can't hold it now, right? So now we'll do this again. So just think about the impact that what you know has had on your school and your students, and the decisions that you make, the impact that that's going to have, right? All these problems that you have to solve, and one of them is, what's the role of technology in the lives of my students? What are they going to be able to do with it? Is that a door that's going to be closed to them, or is that a door that they can walk through? So with all that goodness, I think that if I spin it and I snap my fingers, now it'll stop. In fact, I think there's so much goodness in the room that when I do this, I think not only will it stop spinning, I think it will start spinning in the opposite direction. Do I have any believers? Do I have any believers? Do you believe? Just say, yes, we can. Okay, here we go. All right, make sure the clicker's working. Here we go. And that is the change that you will exert on the lives of many of your students. And how does it work? You will have to ask Stephanie, because she was my assistant, so she gets to keep it. All right, thank you. You can sit down again. So.
Yeah, I was thinking. Okay.
So you see why we have so much fun in computer science. We have brilliant minds who are willing to keep us off the ledge. And that's what Dale has helped me do over the years. When we think that we've got something that's too hard to do, we've got brilliant people who are our partners. In fact, I'll introduce to you a new name we've given our research partnership. And research practitioner partnership is called Cafe CS. You can thank Andy for that name. He named it for us. And it's a group of CS or CPS people, myself and Don, who you'll meet today, and a few others, and UIC, Loyola, and DePaul professors who have been with us from the beginning, care about all of you, care about our students, and they keep it light and interesting and really help us think through the solutions. And I'm excited to have you here, by the way, before Carmen yells at me. My name is Brenda Wilkerson, and I'm the director of the Department of CS. And I mentioned to the group earlier today that it's the youngest department in CPS. We have our brand new department. There was no such thing before. And we have you to thank for that, because you have decided to join us and help us bring CS to our students. We now have a full-fledged core department called the Department of CS. So thanks so much for coming today. I just wanted to give you a couple words, and then we're going to jump right into the rest of the day, which is to immerse you in the curriculum. We're going to ask you to take off your principal hats as much as possible and think about what it means to be a student in a quality CS classroom. The purpose of this is to not only introduce you to the curriculum, but to give you ideas of what you should see when you're walking past the classroom. What it means to impart great CS knowledge to your students. You may hear us say this over and over again, computer science is more than coding. And so do our kids learn coding? Yeah, they do, but they learn computer science. And so today, we're hoping to help you understand a little more about what that means. So just a couple of ideas about how to move around this place. The ladies and gent rooms are right outside this door. Gents are right across this way. And then the ladies are just sort of like right here. We're going to take a break in the middle and we'll have snacks outside. What else am I supposed to say? I forgot. Yeah, and so most of the day you're going to be thinking like students, and we're going to have our master teacher, Don Yannick, who is sort of the godfather of this movement. Really, Don and a couple others, and Dale, were the ones who really sat down and thought years ago. When was that? 2009. How can we get quality computer science to all our students? At that point, computer science was taught in lofty places like Northside College Prep and a couple of other wonderful places, quality teachers doing a quality job. But they begin to think, how can we get this to more of our students? And because of that hunger and desire, they made a trip out to LA to learn about a brand new curriculum, part of which you're going to learn today, called Exploring Computer Science, where there were people hungering and thirsting for the same things. And so we're really excited to bring you a curriculum for about probably 85% of the high schools that is well tested in our district and in other districts. So this is not an experiment. We know it works, but the key is to make sure that our teachers are well prepared. You may have heard us say that teachers don't have to have a CS background in order to teach this curriculum, and that's true. But that doesn't mean that they don't need to spend time preparing. And so we've got a wonderful program of professional development that starts with 5 days in the summer, and then quarterly Saturday throughout the year, and then we ask teachers to come back for another summer. And that is a completion of really understanding what it means to teach CS the way that it's designed to be taught, to teach it in the order. We prescript an order, and many times teachers go, I don't need to do it this way. I'll do it this other way. But then they find out in that second summer, okay, now I get a better idea. And they get to collaborate with their colleagues across the district, and they get to share best practices. So we're really excited to bring that to your teachers, and we'll be sending out information about how you can get them signed up for professional development this summer. Okay, let me make sure that I've covered everything that I need to. I also want to share with you that Apple just announced their K-12 computer science curriculum initiative with curriculum that is free. And the K-8 piece is one that we have piloted earlier this year, and we're able to expand into that. The high school piece is something that they're still developing, but if you want to hear more about, they're going to be releasing it in about a month. If you're interested in thinking through if this is a next logical step after the introductory level, for those of you who might have schools where you already have students that have gone through Exploring Computer Science, come and talk to me and I can share with you how you can get prepared for that. But in the meantime, I just want to thank you for coming and hope you have a great time today being students. And then we'll see you at the end. Okay, and well, wait, I was ready, so excited about Don. I forgot, isn't this a wonderful place to come together? I mean, every time I'm here, this never gets old, never gets old to me. And so Google is an amazing partner, and we're really thankful when they allow us to use their space. But you should know that they're also our thought partners and very supportive of all of our work. And so I want to introduce to you one of our partners here, Britton Picciolini, okay, who is our host for today. And so I just want to read you a little bit about her. She is obsessed with all things digital, from coding basic in 6th grade to her Nest thermometer today. Nothing is ever too weird. Working at Google for almost 15 years, she is in love with technology. In the past at Google, she oversaw $600 million worth of business with large retailers and advertising agencies. Today, she is helping K-12 schools use Google tools to transform the classroom. Britton taught photography at both Schmid Elementary and Chavez Elementary through Citizen Schools. Britton is married with 2 adult sons, enjoying her empty nest in the West Loop of Chicago. You are likely to find her in an airport because travel is for both work and play. And how many districts? Can I do a spoiler alert? 44? districts she's responsible for across the country in this quest. So come on up and say some words for us. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Brenda. It's awesome for all of you to be here. Yes, I do cover 44 districts in 13 states, large districts, at least 25,000 students or more. But as I've told this entire team, CPS is my baby. I live here in Chicago, so it's awesome to have you here. So again, Britton Picciolini, and my responsibility is to be the liaison between Google and those districts. So that's making sure that internally we know what's going on at the districts, the things that you need, the things that we're providing that you love, the things we're providing that you're like, this could be better. So that is, that's my role. And then I try and facilitate as much education as I can on my end to make sure that the entire district knows what's going on at Google and all of the tools that we have to help all of you. So that's my main role. I'm thrilled that you're all here today, mainly because I, as you clearly heard, have a passion for technology. I am not what we call a SWE. I'm not a software engineer around here. I've never personally coded outside of that time in 6th grade, which I loved. And to be perfectly honest, I was thinking about it. I never had an opportunity to code after 6th grade, unless I really would have done it on my own. So things could have been completely different. But here I am with all of you, and excited that you have taken the time to really dedicate yourself to this cause. This is important to Google. This is important to me just as a person, because I love technology and I want to see all of the great things continue, and I want to see them continue with all of our students. I don't want this to just be something that students in certain communities have access to. I absolutely believe in CS for all, and I love that CPS is doing this. As I do work with a lot of districts, this is not an initiative that I see across the board. So I want to really herald CPS for the work that they're doing, because this is a very unique and special effort for a district, especially of this size. So, well done. That being said, there are a few things that I want to just make sure you are aware of the state in terms of computer science and employment in Illinois. So I want to share a few stats with you. Illinois currently has 20,857 open computing jobs, which is over 4 times the average demand rate in Illinois. Illinois only had 1,768 computer science graduates in 2015, and only 13% were female. The average salary for a computing occupation in Illinois is over $86,000, whereas the average salary in the state is actually at $49,000. Only 2,938 high school students in Illinois took the AP computer science exam in 2016. Only 21% were female. Only 330 students were Hispanic or Latino, and only 52 students were Black. 93% of parents want their children to learn computer science, but only 40% of schools teach it. So I tell you all of this to say that there's a lot of work to be done, but programs like this are exactly what are going to help us get there. All of these stats are available on code.org. I encourage you all to take them back to your schools and let everyone know not only why this is important to CPS, but why this is important to all of us that work in the technology world. Enjoy your day. I'm going to be here for the rest of the afternoon with you. I'm really thrilled that you're here, and if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. Thank you.
So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Don. We have, is this working? Never mind. We have Don, Yannick, and Dale Reed, who are going to transport you back to your kids' classroom. So let's welcome Don.
Thanks for coming today. And so this is what's going to happen. So in just a little minute, I'm going to put on my teacher hat again. And I'm going to be a teacher, and you are going to put on a student hat, and you are going to be a high school student again. Okay, so what I'm going to model here is what happens in the summer professional development. One of the things that makes the ECS professional development different, I think, is that instead of just going to a PD, which maybe you've been to and your teachers have been to, where you sit in a chair like this or at a table and somebody is just talking through slide after slide after slide. And after a while, of course, you're busy people, you're running a school, people need information from you, so your phone comes out and the next thing you know, everyone's disengaged except for the person talking at the front. We've all been in that kind of professional development. The Exploring Computer Science professional development is different. And summer of 2010, Dale, myself, and Jeff Solon, who now teaches at Lane Tech High School, were invited out to UCLA. That's where the Exploring Computer Science project started with the LA Unified School District. We were invited out there to find out, to experience the PD and find out more about the curriculum. And we expected that we would sit down and in like 30 minutes be able to be checking our email and be on the internet and sit through the day and then go out for dinner afterward. But that's not what happened. What happened was that immediately we were asked to be immersed in the curriculum. So after watching a model lesson, which is what you're going to do right now, we were assigned groups, and we actually had to teach a lesson to the other teachers in there at some point during the week. Okay? And so just like what's going to happen today, I'm going to teach the lesson, you're going to be the student, and at the end of this, we're going to debrief the experience. And we're going to talk about particular things that you experienced as a student in the lesson, things that you noticed as an educator, and why those things are important for the curriculum as a whole. But why we make certain decisions as an ECS teacher and how we present the material. Okay? So to do this, we're going to have to be at some of these tables up here. And how many people are participating? Okay, so I'm going to let you try and do this yourself. If we could get like at least 3 people at a table, if we have that many, or 4. So could we come up here? And if you've been through the PD before, I see a couple familiar faces. Please don't give away any of the fun stuff. Okay, so come on up. Come on. So let's leave that table empty in case some people are still trying to find parking. So we have a table over here. We've got a seat here. Let's try and do 3 to a table if we can. We might have to have 1 table of 4, okay? That works. We've got enough for 1 person from over here, and could you guys go to that table and make a table of 3? I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to break up this little party. If one of you would volunteer to go to that table, so we have 3 at a table. Okay, so you're going to need something to write with. Should I have told you that first? Everybody keeps a pen in their pocket, right, or a mechanical pencil? I'm sorry. You're going to need something to write with. Pen or pencil, doesn't matter. Because we're going to start out with writing something. Sorry about that. While you're getting that, I'm going to hand out the paper. Please don't turn it over yet, because it's timed.
I'm sorry, what is that?
Don't turn it, yeah. Good one. Oh, it's right there. Is there somebody else sitting here with you? Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so starting right now, I'm the teacher, you are the student. Okay? Well, welcome back today, class. And we've been talking about human-computer interaction and what is computing and what are computers. And so today we're going to start out with just a little quiz. So when I say go, you're going to turn the paper over and you'll have 3 minutes to complete the quiz. And there's no talking. You'll do this on your own, okay? If you finish early, just simply turn the paper over and sit quietly. Okay? So, ready, set, go. Okay, stop writing. Put your pen or pencil down. Put your pen or pencil down. So, to pass this quiz, what did you have to do? Follow the directions. Could you explain what that means? What do you mean, follow directions?
The directions say to read the entire task before you start, and then you read it, get to number 10, that says basically skip everything and go back to number 3.
And so to get it right, what does number 3 say to do?
You have to write the month starting with D in the upper left-hand corner of the page.
Write the month starting with D in the upper left-hand corner. Yeah, so in order to, so I know 4 of you didn't pass. So, once again, this quiz was about what? In order to get the quiz right, you had to do what? Read and follow directions. So what I'd like you to do right now is turn the paper over on the blank side, and I would like you to write your response to this question. How is following directions related to computing and computers? How is following directions related to computing and computers?
When they're going to speak. This is being recorded, so.
So let's take another minute. How is following directions related to computing and computers? Oh, okay. The whole light. Oh. Are you gonna? There, okay. Oh. I'll give them to you. Oh. Did you write something? How come? Okay, write that. Do you mind being the microphone person? Thanks. Okay, so looks like most people have finished writing. So what I would like you to do right now is at your table, share your response with your elbow partners. Okay, so let's have a little conversation about what you've written with your elbow partners. What did you say?
I said, fidelity with the formula to get it right.
Good word.
Well, I didn't write anything, but I guess for the activity, we were just doing, right way, wrong way.
Okay,
Get you to a good outcome or
exactly. Okay, all right. Not yet, not yet.
whatever it is.
Did you guys share?
Yep.
Okay. Done. Okay, it looks like most tables are done discussing. So can we have anyone who is wearing stripes share what their table talked about? Anyone who's wearing stripes?
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
So I wrote, and we shared, that directions are essential to computing because if one step is missed, a computation error may occur.
Okay, so perfect. So all the steps have to be there? They have to be followed.
All steps must be followed.
Good word. And if you don't, what happens? Okay. How about over here then?
So the consensus is that directions determine the outcome.
Directions determine the outcome. How do they do that?
Well, basically, I had put that if you properly list out the instructions, the computer will follow exactly what you want it to do. But if you want it to calculate one way but tell it to do another, it's going to do exactly what you tell it and won't give you the results that you were originally looking for.
Okay, so I'm getting a little sloppy. So you have to properly list the instructions, and the computer does exactly what it's told to do. Does somebody over here think they know what we mean by properly? That seems kind of vague. What does properly mean? Yes.
Well, I think, for example, if you go into MapQuest, it might give you 4 different directions, but one of them might take an hour and the other might take 2 and 3 and 4 hours. So I think as far as properly list, I think it's maybe gives you the most efficient outcome.
Okay. Anyone else have a thought on what we mean by properly? We haven't heard from this table over here. You got selected.
So I guess we discussed just basically following directions and to achieve a desired outcome, right? So like if you talk about computers, there's formulas, there's inputs and outputs for how to get to where you want to be. And then following those directions basically will give you that desired outcome in an effective way.
Great, well said. Could you say that one more time?
I said, so we talked about inputs and outputs, and following those directions, they connect to computing because it'll give you the desired outcome.
Great. So we said here that the steps are important and that the computer does exactly what it's told to do, and that based on the input, following the directions will give us the desired outcome. Great. So what I'd like you to do now on the blank side of your paper, and this is a silent activity. You may not discuss this with your elbow partner, and you have to wait to ask questions. You just have to follow my direction, okay? So this is what I'd like you to do on the blank side. I'd like you to take a couple minutes, and I'd like you to draw a picture of a Mustang. Quietly, silently to yourself. Draw a picture of a Mustang. Draw a picture of a Mustang. Okay, on the side that you wrote your journal prompt. You got me, thank you. They're following directions to a T, just like a computer does. Sorry. Okay, one more minute. Finish up your masterpiece. Are you finished with yours?
Yes.
Are you finished? Yes, okay. May I have this, please? May I have yours, please? Okay, stop drawing. So I've collected a couple up here, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see these. These are pretty small. So, I don't know if you can see, over there I've got 3 cars, a car, what looks like an animal, an airplane, and then a horse. I said draw a picture of a Mustang. How come I got different drawings? I said Mustang, one word. How could I possibly get these different answers? It was an easy instruction, draw a picture of a Mustang.
It wasn't clear whether you wanted a Mustang car, Mustang horse, or whatever. You just said draw a Mustang. So interpretation makes that different if you don't give specific directions about what to draw.
Okay, so along with specific instructions, there's also what? You said?
Interpretation.
Interpretation. Where does that come from? Where does interpretation come from? Yeah. Individuals? Say that louder, please. Your perception. Your perception. So, just so you know, everyone was wrong. This is a Mustang. It's a student at my school because we're the Northside Mustangs. So, what do you think would happen if the computer was given this instruction? Because we said directions to the computer have to be exact, and it follows exactly what we do. What would happen if we gave this instruction to the computer? Why don't you, let's take 2 minutes at your table and let's ponder this question with your elbow partners. What would happen if we gave that instruction to the computer? Or what do you think would happen if you asked Siri, or is it Alexis? Alexa? What do you think would happen if you asked those two individuals? So, if you have your phone at your desk, at your table, why don't you try it? Try it, and let's see what happens. Some data security.
Classic, yep.
What is a Mustang?
How many groups got a car? Did anyone get a horse? Did anyone get the P-51 Mustang, the airplane? How many people didn't get anything?
I don't know what that means.
So you didn't get anything? What did you ask the phone? Draw a picture of a Mustang. What did you ask over here?
I didn't get it out.
You-
Before I could get must, it was like, I don't know what that means.
Okay. Did anyone get a result?
I think we said, what is a Mustang? And the Wikipedia came up.
Right.
Okay, so what is a Mustang?
A car made by Ford.
A car made by Ford. Okay. So even when we have a very specific instruction, sometimes the computer has difficulty with that. Because why again? Say it. Open to interpretation. Computers are able to interpret our words? What do we say computers do? They do exactly what we tell them to do. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. Thinking of that computers do exactly what we tell them to do. On your table, you've got a Post-it note, a giant Post-it note, a poster, okay? And you are going to write the instructions for a computer/robot to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, okay? So you're gonna assume that on the table is a plate, utensils, and the bag of bread and the jars of peanut butter and jelly. So that's already on the table. So you have to write instructions for a computer/robot to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then put those instructions on your poster. Okay? So let's take about 15 minutes to do that. Question? There's a bag of bread on the table. Okay, so go ahead and get started. If you decide you need some additional colors, I have different colors up here too. Okay, thanks.
No, I go straight to the third, and fourth slices of bread.
I think we should do it one at a time.
Okay. Great. Okay. So, hi, welcome. Oh, hi, how are you? Good. Hi, Don. Hi. So we've been talking about following
Oh, wait, so we're doing,
Yes, there's utensils, yes.
We putting it on both slices or one slice?
One piece.
With jelly side down.
Okay, we're at 9 minutes, so you might want to start writing your steps on your poster.
We have to get granular details.
I'm not in your group. Yes.
Okay, he said we have paper towels. Right. So we gotta close our sandwich and then cut it in.
I'll slow the clock down. Good, good, okay.
It's a good thing you did not live at my house. It's a thing.
Just watching.
Are you gonna give us, are you gonna use assessment and instruction and give us some feedback?
Eventually, yes. Okay, we're at the 5-minute mark. What happened to your fourth wheel?
He knew the activity.
Oh, okay. He could be the scribe, though. Yeah. Well, he's going to get points off then.
You could be like.
Three minutes. Sorry about that.
So they have to stipulate exactly that kind of pay.
Okay.
Do you want me to give you 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
Yes. Okay. Thanks. But are you going to do like You guys are done? Okay. Okay, you guys need to start writing your steps. Are you guys finished? Yeah? Almost finished? Okay. I almost forgot about you guys. Do you need another piece of bread? Do you need another piece of paper? I'll bring the tablet over here. Can you grab that for me? In case you need another piece.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. After Faith gives the journal prompt, could you hand these out to everybody? Okay. Hopefully you're done. If not, I'd like you to follow along. So let's see. Let me go ahead and, may I grab this one, please? All right, so here we have a set of instructions, and since I have a nice brightly lit table up here, I'm on a stage. Let's go ahead and try this. Okay. So I love to cook. I do all the cooking for my family. But one of the things I've discovered that I like more than cooking is grocery shopping. That's hands down probably one of my favorite things to do. Anyone else, grocery shopping? Why do you love grocery shopping? Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. Why do you like to grocery shop? Yeah, I agree. There's this great feeling of potential when you're in the grocery store, grocery shopping. All the possibilities. So, one other thing. Do we have any people that are big foodies, restaurant people in here? Anybody ever heard of Blackbird or Avec or Publican or Big Star or Nico? So one of the owners of that, the head chef, is Paul Kahn. Anybody know who Paul Kahn is? So does anybody know what Paul Kahn studied in college? He studied theoretical computer science. Yes, he has a degree in computer science. I know because I was his college roommate for 3 years. And the thing is he never cooked a single time. He ate a lot, though. And since he's not in here, he drank a lot, too, but he won't know I said that. Okay, so here we go. So I said we've got the bread, we've got the peanut butter and jelly. If anyone has a peanut allergy, this is peanut butter crunchy, so maybe you should stay back. So I'm sorry about that. And then you have these pieces of paper. So hand these out to your partners. And there's green thumbs up. This is the audience participation part. Green thumbs up, meaning that that's how you feel about the instructions. There's like yellow. It's supposed to be yellow. That's, you're like, meh. And then, of course, red thumbs down. All right? So we're going to vote at the end when I do this. Okay, so I am the robot. And here we go. And it says, using your hands, remove the plastic binder to open the peanut butter bag. Okay? Okay. Remove 2 slices of bread from the bag. Okay. Place each slice of bread side by side, face up on the plate. Okay. Remove lid from peanut butter. Well, that's not working. Take butter knife and scoop 2 ounces of peanut butter and smear peanut butter on the left side. Okay, so let's see. Okay, all right. All right, well, I got as much out of there as I could. Remove lid from jelly. I'm not going to smash this against the table because it's glass and I don't want to damage their table. So I'll just open it. And it says, take butter knife and scoop 2 ounces of jelly out. Oh, good thing I brought a third knife. And take the right slice and, scoop and smear on the right slice of bread. Okay. All right. Take right slice of bread and flip jelly side onto the peanut butter left side. Okay? Okay. Serve peanut butter and jelly sandwich to the group. Okay. No? No? Okay, well, let's have a vote. So think about, here is what we got. Can you vote on the instructions? Remember, green, yellow, red, no. And I need you to hold them up so I can see them. Okay, you guys said, or it was your instructions over here. You're in the middle of the road. Why did you say that? Okay, we did get a sandwich. It's still edible. Yeah, we did get a sandwich. Okay. What about over here? You guys said, or you said thumbs down. Why did you say thumbs down?
Oh, it's just so many different steps that needed to be completed with more detail.
Needed more detail, okay. And over here, you guys categorically said thumbs down.
Just need more steps and peanut butter maybe on the bread.
Okay, there was no peanut butter on the bread, needed more steps. And then what about over here?
Because especially with the jelly, you had to improvise a lot to get it done.
Yeah, I couldn't really open the jelly jar. I kind of had to improvise. Okay, but there is something interesting about this set of instructions if we think about a computer or a robot. Does anybody know what it is? Do you think you know? There's something interesting about this set of instructions that I noticed that no one else had. Yes? Okay, good point. Yeah. Would a robot know what hands are, or would it have hands? The measurements, yeah. We've got some data in here. They said actually 2 ounces. So precise, and then, well, they said 2 slices of bread, but the 2 ounces, right here with jelly too. So we have some data in there. So not only does a computer follow just the coded instructions, but it also needs data too. Okay, so let's try another one. Yes, there's something very nice about this one that I think everybody needs to see.
You start your work here with no name.
Okay, so here we go. Sort of clean up my station. Paul would be happy. Open the bag of bread with your hands and remove 2 slices from bag and place both slices on the plate flat side by side, okay? Open the bag, 2 slices, place them side by side, okay? Remove the lid off the jelly jar and place it on the table, okay? So what's the problem with that instruction just right now? Doesn't tell me how, but I'm not gonna break the jar. I think our hosts would be appreciative of that. Okay, so and insert into the jelly jar, and well, wait, pick up the tablespoon. Okay. Off the table, insert it into the jelly jar, remove a tablespoon of jelly, and place the tablespoon of jelly on the top side of 1 piece of bread. Okay. There. Okay. Move the jelly spread across the bread with backside of the spoon and ensure that the jelly is evenly covered on all 4 corners, okay? All right. Repeat steps 3 for the peanut butter on the opposite of the bread, okay? Okay. Gently place hand under one side of the bread and place this slice on top of the piece of bread left on the plate so that all peanut butter and jelly touch. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. Okay. Does it say? Oh, it did. Oh, no, where does it say that? It doesn't. It doesn't, yeah. So, okay. Let's vote. Studio audience? Green. And green. Green, green. Okay. Over here, why did you say, nah, you're not so sure?
Only because they forgot to put
Okay.
Also didn't tell you how to open the lid. They didn't tell you how.
Yeah, they didn't tell us how to open it. What about over here? You said, Agree? You guys said green pretty much. Thumbs up. How come? I made a sandwich, okay. Oh, okay, got a sandwich. There's something interesting about this set of instructions that's different from the last set of instructions. I know you guys can't really see over here. I can't turn it because then they can't see, but does anybody know what that is? Well, I did use a spoon instead of a knife. But thinking about the instructions, though, there's something in here that wasn't in the other one. Yes? Repeat. So, why did you guys say repeat? Yes. When you have to do the same thing again? Yeah, just say repeat. Does anybody in here know what we call that in a computer program when we repeat something? Starts with an L. A loop, great, excellent, thank you. Yeah, so here we have an example of a loop. And we also have data. Where's the data? The tablespoon. Wow, we're getting really sophisticated now. Or in computer science, when we say a program is sophisticated, we say it's elegant. Yes. Yeah. So we have some elegance, yeah. Okay. I don't think I'm going to make the next sandwich because we're running. The bell's going to ring soon, but I wanted to show one more example. So we've got open the bag by untwisting the tie. Did that get added later? Version 2? No? After user testing? Remove the 2 slices, place bags side by side. Okay. Open the jelly jar by twisting the lid counterclockwise. Ooh. Then place the lid on the side next to the jar. All right. Open the peanut butter jar by twisting the, okay, and next, pick the knife up. Place the knife in the peanut butter jar. Scoop peanut butter onto knife. Remove knife from the jar. That's a good instruction. Pick up the slice of bread in the dominant hand. Wow. Spread peanut butter with knife with the dominant hand until bread is fully covered. Return knife to the counter. Oh, that's good. Using paper towel, remove excess peanut butter from the blade.
Wow.
Using same knife, put knife in the jelly jar. Repeat. Repeat. Steps 6 to 13. Nice. Okay, then put the second piece of bread on top. Great. Very nice. So, in general, what? Oh, eat, we know you are hungry. I had a very nice lunch here, actually. So, in general, not in a computer class, but in general, what do we call these things that we're creating? Instructions, but in the kitchen, we call those instructions what? Recipes. We call these recipes. And what's important about recipes? Following directions. Can we be a little bit more specific? The steps and what? In the specific order. So if we don't follow the steps in a specific order, what happens? It's not delicious. This happens, maybe? I don't know. I try to. Okay, so with a recipe, if you don't follow the steps exactly and in the right order, it doesn't necessarily end up tasting very good. And in computer science, so we said in order, exactly. In computer science, we have a word for this that's the same as recipe, actually. Does anybody know what that word is? What is it? Algorithm, yes. And code, when we develop code, we're following an algorithm. So, an algorithm. So, one of the things I like to say is that you can have all the ingredients to bake a cake. but if you don't follow the recipe in the right order, what you take out of the oven might not look or taste like a cake. And it's the same with the computer program. Okay, so we're out of time. Tomorrow, we're going to come back in, and we are going to start looking at what does it mean for a computer to think? Can a computer think? Okay, so have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye. Now, your teachers and administrators again. I'm still a teacher. Following the model of the PD, Faith is going to come up here and we're going to do a short little debrief of the lesson, which may require you to do just a little bit of reflection and writing. Okay? Faith?
Hello, hello. So in this debriefing process, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you to write it down. Hopefully you have something to write down. Okay? Okay, so let's think about the computational practices that existed. Did we go over?
We didn't, but
Yeah.
they're up here.
Okay, so when we think of ECS, we think of computational practices. And when we think of computational practices, these are the things that we want to see that are evident in the lessons. And so we have analyzed so part of the computational practices, analyze the effects of development in computing, design and implement creative solutions, abstracts, another analyze their computational work and the work of others, communicate and collaborate. So I want you to think about collaborate, communicate, analyze, abstractions, creative, and effects. In this lesson, which do you think was most prominent of the computational practices? Great,
Back.
great.
If you turn
So
it
I'm
over,
going to give
they're on
you
the back.
1 minute to write what computational practice do you think was most prevalent in this activity?
They're on the back.
So the 1 minute starts now. One that was most, one that you saw most. Okay, 5 seconds. Okay. Now I want you to talk with your table and discuss your thoughts. Talk with your table and discuss your thoughts. I'll give you 1 minute for that. Okay, now we're gonna share out. So who wants to volunteer and share out what your table thought as a whole?
But why? She's picking on me. Because she used to, no, we're here. Okay, so we were torn, but we said communication because we did have to communicate with one another. We had to communicate with the group. We had to give our results to others. But we really were torn between communication and collaborate, but we chose communicate because we had to do that with each other and the group.
Okay, thank you. Did anybody else have another practice that they thought was most prolific in the presentation, in the lesson? Any other thoughts regarding it? Yes, ma'am.
We felt like it was all the last four for sure. Oh, the first one and the last four. We weren't sure about number two.
Just in terms of, we know we collaborated with our peers, we communicated the whole time, we analyzed our work as well as the work of others. We had a model, and we talked about the effects because one sandwich sort of worked, the other one really worked. So, yeah.
But we weren't sure about number two.
Okay. Okay. So these computational practices are embedded within the ECS curriculum. And it's something that those of us instructors that went to the PD, we know it very well. And it's what we focus on when we're implementing the lesson. And each unit deals with these computational practices. And then something else that we focus on in ECS is making sure that there's equity, inquiry, and CS content in the lesson. And so that is basically our main focus, and Don did a wonderful job at the lesson, so I want to give him a hand. And so as we wrap it up, this was basically a perfect example of what the training consists of. Is we are sitting here and we're working through the lessons. We're trying to make sure that we're incorporating the computational practices and the strengths so that the students are able to grasp, understand, and build on. And I think that's it. Is there anything else, Don, you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I wanted to just talk about the journaling and how that relates to equity, and the journaling has a reason, a purpose. So what we call it is the think, pair, share model, and you may have heard that before. And students are more apt to participate in the class discussion and provide comments and answers if they've been able to validate what they're thinking beforehand. So they get a chance to reflect on their own, and typically the journal prompts are an opportunity for them to access prior knowledge and experience in their daily lives and see how that correlates to CS concept. So they have a chance to reflect and write that on their own, and then sharing with their elbow partner gives them the opportunity to validate what their idea is, so that they're more, like I said, more apt to volunteer discussion points in class and participate. And so in the professional development that we do, there's a lot of discussion about strategies to promote equity. And my own personal feeling about that is that teaching in an equitable classroom environment isn't something that's automatic for most teachers. It wasn't automatic for me. It's something that I had to learn about. And the more I learn, the more I realize that these purposeful strategies about how you engage with students in the class really does have a profound effect on how they feel in the classroom, about how they feel if they belong. What we talk about imposter syndrome, you know, that with particularly women and minority students, that's something that really impacts them. And so by implementing some of these strategies, students will feel more engaged, more comfortable, and ultimately we found out through our research that they enjoy the course more and consider actually studying more computer science.
Awesome. So some of the next step actions, there is training over the summer for ECS, and there are 2 training sessions, and we're going to send an email just to remind you of when those training sessions are so that we can get the teachers signed up for this wonderful experience. July, the last week of July, which is July 31st through August the 4th, is the first session, and they have two options. They can either choose the first week or the second week, and then the second week is August the 7th through the, I forgot. Yeah, the 11th, thanks, Andy. So you will get an email from us regarding that. Are there any questions that you have about the curriculum or anything that you'd like to discuss at this time regarding the lesson? Oh, I'm sorry.
After break.
Oh, after break? Okay, let's take a break.
So what do we, 15
How long is our break?
10 minutes?
10 minutes?
Awesome. So
Okay.
there should be snacks out here?
So there's goodies right outside
Okay, 10 minutes?
for you to enjoy.
15 minutes.
15 minutes?
15 minutes.
Okay, 15's better.
I'll take the thumbs up. Oh, okay, okay. if you want the digital. Okay, I think we have almost everybody in here. So before we do the second lesson, just a couple things about the peanut butter and jelly thing that I, just so you know. Typically when I teach it in the class, I'm not the one that does the making of the sandwich. What I have is one of the other groups of students perform the instructions of somebody else. And so I have one student that is the computer that reads the instructions while the other person tries to make the sandwich. And the reason why I hand these out is because I found over the years of doing this that sometimes, even though it's their friends up there and it's kind of fun, it's an opportunity for some students to disengage. Particularly, I'm teaching this in a computer lab, and so there can be some other distractions. And so by forcing everyone to vote at the end, everyone has their hand up and everyone has to vote. So if you have your hand up, that means I can call on you. Okay, so people have to be ready for that. There's, still some opportunities for people to disengage a little, but I'm constantly working on that for that lesson. And also in my classroom, I don't use peanut butter. Instead, what I use is apple butter and jelly, which sounds like it tastes good, but it doesn't. But students would still eat it, though. All right. So are we ready to start? Is everyone? They haven't come back yet, but I suppose we could get started. Okay, so are we ready? So you're going to be once again the students. I'm going to be the teacher. All right. Okay. Welcome, class. This week we've been talking about problem solving, and who can remind me about the steps of the problem solving process? Remember, there's 4 steps. Understand the problem. Second, make a plan. Somebody has been reviewing their notes. Great. Once you've made a plan, you want to do what? Carry out the plan. And then, lastly, could we have somebody over here? What's the last step? Check the solution, yeah. So check the result. Okay, so if the result's not what we want, what do? Try again, revise the plan. Okay. All right. So today we're going to start out by thinking about making a plan. So in your journal, which could be the back of the piece of paper, a blank part of the paper that you have in your journal, what I'd like you to think about, come up with a plan on how high can you count on your 10 fingers? How high can you count on your 10 fingers? Okay, so you can be creative. Write your plan down. How high can you count on your 10 fingers? So let's take 2 or 3 minutes and describe how you would do that on your paper, okay? How high can you count with your 10 fingers? on your paper, how high can you count with your 10 fingers? So describe it. How high can you count with your 10 fingers? Okay. So, to your elbow partners at your table, discuss your plan, your idea about how high you can count with your 10 fingers. So let's take 2 minutes and share your method, your idea with your elbow partners. They left you. Great. Okay, it sounds like conversation has subsided and strayed to other topics. Would anyone like to volunteer something one of their elbow partners told them? What is their plan? Would somebody like to volunteer their elbow partner's plan? Or their own?
We said we could, well, I don't know if this answers the question properly. We just had a discussion
Okay.
about the idea and the fact that you can apply whatever number to your fingers and multiply it. So you can have like a trillion for each digit on your hand and count that way if you wanted to. So you really can go to infinity and beyond, like Buzz Lightyear.
Infinity and beyond. Okay, so you could assign any values to your fingers, so you could theoretically count to any number or beyond. Okay, interesting. Somebody else? Yes.
So we had a similar answer, but I was arguing that because each of your fingers has a digit, 3 digits on it as well, I was like n plus 10 to the infinity of 30. So I was trying to give it a formula because we're talking about computer science. So
Okay, so there must be some type of formula to compute that, and so 3 knuckles on each finger, and there's going to be, so you could count that way, okay? Over here?
So I'm sitting with a table of people who like math and other people like math, but I was very limited because I don't like to count or math. So I just said 100,000 and I placed a succinct value on each finger because I wanted to stop there and not think about infinity.
You didn't want to keep
Or
thinking
that.
about, or math, okay?
Whatever she just said, infinity plus 30, I don't know.
Great, okay. Anyone else like to share their idea? Okay, excellent. So there, oh,
I thought about the calculation as the limit approaches positive infinity and what that looks like in a graph. And so I thought to myself, like, how far does that graph keep going? And it's infinite.
wow, great. Using graphing and some mathematics there, excellent. Okay, so a lot of different ways to count. Assigning different values, using different knuckles, okay? A lot of basically endless ways that we could do this. I have one in particular in mind. And when I thought about this problem, I thought, how high can I count with my 10 fingers and represent each value as a unique representation on my hands? So counting in sequence, how high could I count with my 10 fingers? And what I came up with is that with my 10 fingers, I could count to over 1,000 and represent every single number from 0 to 1,000. Okay? So I'm not gonna count to 1,000 right now, because we probably all eventually want to go home and have dinner sometime, right? But on my right hand, with my 5 fingers, I could count to 31 and have every number represented by a unique configuration, okay? And so what I would like you to do, one of our other problem-solving processes and a strategy we have that we talked about before is looking for patterns, okay? So I would like you to, I'll run through it a couple times and see if you notice any particular pattern that I'm following. So hopefully you can see over there. So, okay, are you ready? Let me just do a couple little exercises here. Okay, all right, here we go. So, 0, 1, 2, 3, every teenager's favorite, 4, 5, 6, 7, the reason I play the drums and not the guitar, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So, did anybody notice a pattern? Oh, my thumb is every other number. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Okay, hold on then. Okay, so every other number is what kind of value? Odd. Every other number is odd, right? Okay, so let's see if we can figure that out. He said, is it like using base 5? All right, so let's see if we can, I'll do it one more time. And this time, instead of just focusing on my thumb, I would like you to pay attention to the value that my hand represents when I only have one finger showing up. What value? So you might have to jot that down. My memory's awful. I would have to write it down, but okay. So I'm going to do it one more time. So when I have only one finger showing, write down what number that is and see if we can figure out the pattern. Okay, we ready? Okay, 0, 1, 2, 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Okay, well, let's figure that out. That's a great question. I like you.
Well, I think we're onto something, that's why we're asking. I think we're onto something.
Okay, so did you ever notice that in cartoons, how many fingers do the people have in cartoons? Usually 4. Why is it 4? Why is it 4? In cartoons, the people are, the characters always only have like 4 fingers. How come they don't have 5? Easier to draw. 5 fingers, it looks like they're wearing mittens or a baseball glove, so it's always 4. Anyway. Okay, so we said that the thumb was what? 1. So the question we're trying to answer is, what's 32 if I count to 31? So the thumb was 1. What's the index finger? 2. What's the next finger?
4.
How do you know? What's happening? They're doubling. Ring finger is 8. 16. So where's 32 going to be? Yeah, I could make it the thumb. So if I was using 2 hands, this would be 32. Here's all the way up to 31. Here's 32. What's the next number? Or what's the next finger? Here's 31. I should have drawn with this hand, I'm sorry. But I'm right-handed, so. But I still drew with my left hand, I don't know. So here's 31. The next would be 32, okay? So what's the next number? 64. What's happening each time? We're doubling. So I said that I could count up to over 1,000. This is only to 500. How could it be up to 1,000? That's not it. That's still 0. How do I get 3? This is 3. So 1 and 2, how did I get 3? 1 plus 2. So how is this over 1,000?
You change your base.
No? Were you raising your hand?
Oh, 512 times 2.
512 times 2 is going to be what? So if I had an 11th finger,
Wait, is this 512?
this is 512, the last pinky. So if this is 1, this is 2, and I get 3 by doing what? 1 plus 2. So how is this over 1,000? What do I do? How is this over 1,000? Add all these up, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's try counting to 31. Okay, let's try this. So I need you to find an elbow partner, somebody who's a partner. Okay? So, this is what we're going to do. So, okay, so if I gave you a card, come up here and stand in order with 1 down here and 16 down there. And your partner is going to be your spotter. So if you get stuck, they're going to help you figure out what to do. Okay?
You said, wait, you said.
1 in order. Excuse me. So 1, 2, 4. Okay. So what's on the other side? It's blank, so turn them to the blank side. So we are going to count to 31. And who's your partner? So if she gets stuck, she's going to look to you, and you're going to have to tell her if it's time to flip or not. Okay? Who's your partner? You ready? Okay. Who's your partner? Are you ready? You're going to help her out? This is your spotter, your partner? Can you see? You can see all these? Maybe you should come over here. They're stranding you. They're not even gonna pay attention. So just so we know what's happening, I'm gonna call out the numbers in order. So when I say 1, you're gonna flip yours over. But when I say 2, you're going to turn yours that way, and you're going to flip yours over. Because the sum of the numbers has to be the number that we're counting to, okay? Does everybody understand what's going to happen? Yes. You're supposed to help your partner out in case they get stuck. Okay, so I'm going to call out the numbers. So first time is just practice before we videotape this. Okay. You know, by hitting the button in the elevator, you agreed to get your picture taken and everything. Okay, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. Rely on your partner to help you. 11. 11. 12. 13. 13. 14. 15. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, not yet, 24, 24. Yeah, come on.
Everybody else supposed to flip around though.
No. 24. Yeah. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Yeah, we're done. Now, stay up there. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why that keeps happening. That's my fault. Okay. Let's try this again. Let's try this again. So, studio audience, you have two jobs here. One, if you're somebody's helper, you're going to pay attention to them and signal them. But then everyone else, I want you to look for a pattern here. Is there a pattern to the flipping of the cards? Okay? All right, so let's make them blank again. Oh, and the people that are the spotters, you're going up next. Okay? All right, are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at this, it's like a machine. 7, 8, woo, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, yay, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Wait, there. I'm sorry. Okay, 30. No, 30. 31. Okay. All right, hand it off to your partner.
No, we're not.
No.
Because you're about to go up there.
Okay, let's go up there.
Don't be bashful.
She was already up there. Come on, you got to go up. Do you want to go up? No. We need somebody to be number 8.
Want me to do it again?
No.
Go, Troy.
All right, great. Thank you. So, what pattern? Did anybody notice a pattern? What pattern did you notice?
There were some patterns, I'm sorry, I'm gonna talk my mouth full. There were some patterns where I saw like one would come in and out, like almost every time, right? Then you would see like, 2, and then you would see 4, 2, 1, and then you might see 8, 4, 2, 1. So it was just kind of like this 1, 2, and then 2, 1 came out again, and then 4 got added, and it was like 4, 2, 1, and then it was like 8, 4, 2,
So 1 is flipping theirs how often? Every other time. 1 is always showing when it's what type of number? Odd. Did anybody notice another pattern? Okay, 2 is there, but 2 can be there when it's odd because 2 plus 1 is 3.
16 stayed after 16 and higher.
Oh, yeah, okay. So as soon as we get to 16, 16 just stays there. Okay, so does everybody know who their helper is? Does everybody have a helper?
I got you. I got you.
Okay, so blank side. Blank side. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Now look for a pattern. Does everybody notice what the configuration is? 4, 5, 6. Don't know. 7. Now look at the configuration and watch what happens next. 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14 now, yes. 15. Could somebody, hold on, 15. Could somebody tell me what's going to happen next when I call 16?
I'm gonna flip over and then 16 is gonna be by itself.
Well, I didn't understand any of that.
They all turn 16 comes on stage, the rest can go off stage.
And then they're gonna start all over again with 1. So then it'll be 16 plus 1 is 17. And then 16 plus 2 will be 18. And then 16 plus 1 and 2 will be 19.
Great, excellent. Okay, so let's do that. Ready? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, yes, 31. Okay, stay there though. All right, so number 1 is showing when what's true? Odd numbers. And so turn yours blank. Hold. So what, on the next number, what's going to happen? Well, what's, okay, because it's even, she's going to turn, but what do we know about the pattern?
It's 3, then 2, then 1.
Right, these are full, these are showing numbers, all in a row. So now on the next one, you're going to turn yours over, go ahead, and you're going to go blank, okay?
Your 8 is upside
Blank.
down is better.
Turn yours around.
Thank you.
Okay, so, all right,
I'm anal, sorry.
who do you think has who has the easiest job? 16. Why do you think you do? Yeah, you just show, okay, 1 and 16. Who has the most difficult job? 2?
2 and 4.
Why do you say 2 and 4?
Because she has to remember to add on to her. She has to also remember to add on to him. Just like 4, he has to remember to add on to these 2 or to him or by himself.
Yeah, so you have to look on both sides, right and left, to figure out what to do, right?
Either 4 or 6 or some version of 12 or 6 or 7. Like you have the hardest because you go both ways.
Great. Okay, so who thinks they really got this? Who thinks they've really got this? Who thinks they've really got this? Want to try it one more time? You'll stay up for 16? Great. I think you need to come up here. Come on. Come on. Come on. You've been drafted. You'll have a partner to help you. You'll have a partner.
I'll take 4.
You'll take 4?
Which, I'm his partner.
Yeah.
I'm just a computer. But like, am I thinking mathematically about this in the right way? About how
You add them up?
like
Yes.
1 0 1 0 1 0, and then it's like kind of like per minute.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so you guys got this, right? Got it. Okay. All right. All right. So, in Unit 1, we were talking about what is a computer, and one of the things we talked about was artificial intelligence, and we talked about the British pioneering computer scientist, mathematician Alan Turing. And he was one of the first, if you remember, he was one of the first people to discuss that we could represent any number or instruction for the computer in what way? He's actually coined the term digital. So on a computer, how do we typically, what do we find out? What's the generic way to represent data? Zeros and ones. Great idea. So may I have your card, please?
Ramp it up.
Oh. Now we're entering the digital age. Now you helpers are going to be really important. So on one side, you see we have 0, and on the other side, we have 1. So what value, what is your name?
Roslyn.
Roslyn, what value does Roslyn represent? 1. What's your name? Excuse me.
Ramona.
Ramona, what does she represent? 2. Even though her numbers are still 0 and 1, she's still 2. What's your name? Wayne. Wayne, what is Wayne? 4. Your name?
Claudio.
Claudio? 8.
16, Nicole.
Nicole is 16. Okay. Are we ready?
Not really, but okay.
Okay, zeros, please. Zeros showing. Now remember the pattern. You're well practiced. So your pattern is you're always going to show your number when what? When the number's what? Odd. Okay, we ready? All zeros? Here we go. 1, 2. No. Yeah, it's the same pattern. It's the same pattern. Okay, ready? 2, 3. Now, our pattern tells us if these two are showing, what happens?
It's odd, the next one becomes even.
So 4, 5, 6, 7. Now they're all showing. So what's going to happen? 8. Yes. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Nicole, you ready? 16. Yeah! Woo! Wait, we're not done yet. We're still we're in the woods now. Ready? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
Everybody flip except for the last two.
Yes.
You flip to 0.
There.
There you go.
20,
That's 24.
25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. All right. Okay, so thank you very much, you brave people. All right, nice job. Okay, so we are going to try this now. Everybody's going to get a chance to try this at your table. I've got little versions of these. And so you're going to demonstrate to your elbow partner that you can flip these and count up to 31, okay? So there's zeros and ones, all right? So let's take some time and try that. Mm-hmm. Do you have a partner? Oh, I was just coming back. Oh. Yeah, I think there's enough. Yeah.
Is it just one per table or one per person?
One per partner, but you can give them.
There.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So you have to demonstrate to your elbow partner that you can count to 31. Yes. How much time? How much time? Do you want to practice with the numbers? Yes, please. Okay, all right, sure. Okay. Ones and zeros now? Okay, so we're almost out of time. Tomorrow, when we come back to class, we're going to talk about why binary numbers are so important in computing. Okay? All right, thank you. Have a great day. Yeah, go ahead. What? Oh, it's
There it is.
oh.
Over here. Okay. So of course, we're going to debrief this experience. And what I would like you to do is I would like for you to put on your administrative hat. You're no longer a student. And I want you to think about this. I want you to think about what challenges do you foresee in implementing a computer science class at your school? What challenges do you foresee in implementing this curriculum, if any?
Talent, finding the right instructor who can engage the way we were engaged, because we're administrators, we're adults. However, we know that students bring a variety of different mindsets and maybe not some of the prior knowledge that we all have to these tasks. So somebody who can engage and allow students to be actively engaged in this.
And I think that that'll be easier to do now that they shifted the requirements for teaching the course. Because initially, when it had to have a math or a science background, it was really hard to kind of like find somebody to teach it. That was my dilemma. But then when they announced that, I mean, it's easier when you can have any certification and they'll train you and give you the endorsement than it was to find. It's hard enough to find a math or a science teacher, but now you can at least, it broadens your scope a little bit so that you got, a greater chance or opportunity of finding that person with that it that you need in order to kind of accomplish this and do this work well. So I was happy to see that.
Anybody else?
Outside of the fact that you're going to need somebody who understands, has the requisite knowledge, because they almost have to be experts in more than one field. Not only in teaching and how to apply teaching strategies, because you backed into that by a pattern the kids can recognize and take them to a pattern that they don't. That's a fairly well-established teaching thing, but you have to also understand binary language and what does that mean and how to articulate that pattern. And and most of us are going to sit around and come up with that pattern around your hands. Like, I'm like, okay, I have no idea what you're doing. But, and then being able to understand that and translate that to binary language, you almost have to have two sets of skill sets, the teaching as well as the knowledge to be able to do that. And I will say to you, that's a very, I struggle with how we're going to get individuals that have that.
Any other over on this side? A comment? Yes.
To address what Ms. Glover Douglas was saying, you have to have knowledge of students so that you can think ahead of time how you are going to engage these kids using the various methods. He used 3 different strategies, 2 of which were new to me, and I'm pretty familiar with the curriculum. So, I mean, that just goes to show you that there's abundance of ways at which you can decide how to deliver this if you try to anticipate what your students need, and or work collaboratively with the math team or diverse learner team or whatever team to try to figure out strategies to support the students and their needs.
I agree. That's why I appreciate the structure of how the units are laid out, because as a teacher, some of the first units, I'm getting to know my students. I'm getting to know their strengths, their weaknesses, so that after that, I can cater and adjust the curriculum to fit their needs. So it really does take a teacher that has a lot of energy and is able to be flexible and understanding and meet the students where they're at to bring them along. Another question I'd like to pose. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Oh, yeah.
The last thing is, teachers have to be reflective. If you take 2 or 3 lessons to try and get to know your kids, if you're not reflective about what the information you gather tells you about where you need to go, I mean, and those of us who are familiar with teachers, sometimes being reflective is not always their strong point. But that's going to require, if you know that the first couple of lessons are introductory and I'm trying to figure out who's good with patterns, who's good with numbers, who's good with this, and then how do I group them later, how do I work with somebody else later to come up with something, you're going to have to sit and really think about what information you gathered in those lessons and how to use it.
So true, so true. Anything else before I move on to our next? Yes, Don.
I just want to reiterate something that you said. I think is particularly important. Is trying to identify somebody that's reflective, and in the professional development in the summertime, that's really an important part of the experience. And not everyone comes in prepared to do that or think about the decisions they make when they decide to teach a lesson. But I think by the end of the second summer, everyone that's gone through that experience is at least headed down that path. So thank you for saying that. I think that's very important. And when you're trying to think of a teacher for this class, is somebody that is able to think about their practice and talk about it, and be open to suggestion.
And if I would add something to that, they need to come to professional development. They need to come to every professional development, and they need to participate. And that starts with you. So we'll have teachers who will come and they won't say a word. They're mute, and then they go back to their schools and they complain about not understanding what's going on. And I think you understand the depth of understanding that we're trying to bring about for them so that they can bring it about for their students. And the professional development has been researched and tested that if they come and they participate and they spend the time preparing, that they will get there. It was made for teachers who don't have the background. But they have to come and they have to participate. And we really need you to support that.
I just wanted to comment something about the rigor of this.
Yes.
So before I comment on this, I just want to introduce another person, Ron Greenberg from Loyola. So when we first started this, Don mentioned that we went out to UCLA. One of the reasons we were able to do that is because Ron had some grant money at Loyola, and he actually sponsored the trip. So we might not be here today if Ron hadn't done that. So thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Dale. Dale and I and other university people have been very much involved here. It's been a big part of getting National Science Foundation funding to help the Computer Science for All effort. And we have no civic role here at this event today, though, which is a good thing. Shows how well this is being institutionalized within the Chicago Public Schools. And I'm here for 2 reasons. One is just to express the support. And the second reason is just I love seeing this so much. I mean, Dale is just such an awesome teacher. I just love seeing the reactions of everybody when they get exposed to this material.
So thank you. And the other person who's not here is Lucia DeTore. She's at DePaul. So we all, as universities in the area, we support this work, and we want to say this work is important. So building off this notion of zeros and ones, if you look at that screen right there, there's an image. And that image maybe came from somewhere on the internet. Those images and the images on our phone, when we take pictures, under the hood, those are zeros and ones that represent the colors. We send a text message. The letters, Those are represented using zeros and ones. The programs that program our phones and program the devices that control the thermostats in the room, those are program zeros. So the zeros and ones and understanding that's underneath everything that's going on here. So Brenda asked me to comment, which is why I jumped up here, on the zeros and ones from our university perspective. So I have been fortunate to rub shoulders with Don, to rub shoulders with Faith, because as some of you know, some of those university classes are the most boring times of your entire life. But you're getting that piece of paper at the end. And there are also some excellent university faculty as well. But I have learned about teaching, the practice of inviting my students to talk to their elbow partner, having engaging questions to wrap up at the end. That has changed my practice, and that's because our high school teachers in CPS, Don and Faith and so many others, they really know their craft. You know your teachers in your schools, right? And so we have been learning from them. That's affected us at the university level. So when I teach this lesson in my class, it's a little bit different than Don's, but it has the same idea. I start out with dots, 16 dots, and these, I didn't know ahead of time. I just keep these in my bag because you never know. 16 dots, 8 dots, 1 dot, right, et cetera, the different, instead of the numbers. And then when you turn it inside out, then you get either a 1 or a 0. So also to illustrate the fact that it's not one size fits all. When you take ECS, ECS gives you the framework for the teachers. The teachers are not given a script that says, say this, then say this, then say this. Some curriculum is like that. So that's why it's challenging. But ECS curriculum is gonna, the professional development is gonna change the way that your teachers communicate and teach, and that's what it's done for me. They're going to have to think about, well, in my classroom, what's appropriate for my students, as you pointed out. So is it better to have the numbers, like Don had in those cards? Is it better to have the dots, right? But the idea is you're going to have visual manipulatives with people standing up and participating, and I do the exact same thing in my class because I learned it from ECS, and it's very effective for my students.
Great. So, I just wanted to say that I recently myself came from a classroom, and it was very difficult for me to make the transition from teaching because I love the students so much into the CS for All initiative. But I knew that I had impact over those classrooms, but I had a bigger impact by coming out and making sure that this initiative was supported and offered to all kids, because the whole notion of equity was not being met, and that I knew that I could be a part of a team that could bring that to fruition. So we're here as a team to support you to make this happen. And so whatever we can do, our integration team, our curriculum team, we want to help you make sure that you have the right teacher and the right support system so that we can make this happen. Okay? So that's why we're here. And Don, did you want to ask or say anything else?
I'll wait and see if anybody wants to respond, but then I just wanted to just say something about the curriculum as a whole and why I chose these 2 lessons for today. So, but if anyone wants to respond to it.
Brenda,
did you? Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, you may have been sitting there thinking about the peanut butter and jelly activity and wondering, well, this isn't really computer science, or this seems like kind of middle school-ish, you know, kind of activity, or it's, you know, it's cute. But the curriculum is designed to be taught in sequence. It's 6 units. It's human-computer interaction, problem solving, web design, programming, data modeling, and robotics. And it's that way for a reason. You can teach the entire first 8 weeks of the class without touching a computer. And the point of that is, one, is building community in the classroom where students get used to collaborating with their partner and talking about their ideas. One of the things you said about the computational practices in the first lesson was that we were communicating a lot. But the communication that happens just isn't, you know, chatting and laughing. That's important. We want our kids to have fun and enjoy themselves. But the type of communication that we want is about their ideas and process. So the first 2 units, you're setting up that environment, that atmosphere in your class. So the peanut butter and jelly assignment, once again, focusing on the equity aspect, we're building on things that students know already. We're accessing their prior knowledge. Okay, maybe they haven't made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but they've made a sandwich before or had a sandwich. And maybe you don't use a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Some people do tying your shoes or making a paper airplane. So there are different ways depending on, as you said, you know your students, what is going to work better for them. But the idea, the core principle there is the idea of an algorithm. And you could even go deeper and talk about things like abstraction and complexity. But what we want to have happen out of that is the students to understand the word algorithm and what that means and why instructions have to be specific and the language of the computer is very specific. From there, we're going to go forward, and when we get to the web design unit where they're actually typing their own HTML code and when they're designing their own programs and algorithms in the programming unit, we want them to understand why it has to be a certain way, and when the web page doesn't look a certain way, it's because the order of their instructions is not right, and that's important. So we're, once again, building on prior knowledge with things that they understand already. The binary numbers. It's the foundation of computers. Everything that we see, as Dale said, are binary numbers. But there's another part of that. Taking the algorithm idea and the idea of the binary numbers. In that unit, we're going to look at, you'll look at some standard algorithms, sorting algorithms in computer science, because being able to sort information is important. When you want to buy something on Amazon, you want to sort it by the cheapest price, maybe. It's all over the place. It's very important in computer science. Well, one of the efficient algorithms to be able to sort information is what we call a divide and conquer algorithm, which we're dividing by 2. The idea of, this whole binary numbers, and 2 is important. We're reducing the data set by 2 every time. So when we want students to understand how that sorting routine works, there has to be this prior information ahead of time. In the peanut butter and jelly lesson, I could have just said, this is what an algorithm is, and wrote the definition on the board. That's not nearly as impactful as the students going through a process and talking about their process with their neighbors. That's going to be more meaningful than me just saying it. And the same is true when we get to the sorting routine, the merge, sort, divide and conquer. It's going to be much more meaningful for them understanding where that algorithm comes from and the whole idea of divide and conquer, because they've experienced it.
So if I could add something, a layer to that. Here's a therefore I'd like for you to take from some of this. Therefore, understand that there is a process. There is a reason why we've chosen the curriculum that we've chosen. There's a reason why it is in the order that it is. And so we ask that we trust the process. We get pushback from teachers who are new. I mean, when you're new, you're uncomfortable. The challenge that we have right now is all of these concepts are new across the district in general. 3 years from now, there'll be a body of knowledge where this will be more of a common understanding of what this process is. In the meantime, there's pushback because it's, well, I thought there's all this. Well, I thought we were going to learn, or I thought we were going to do. And that's valid, but that doesn't make it right. This curriculum is tested, it is researched, and we're seeing real results in the students that are coming through this course where it is taught right. But it is taught right when the teachers are trained well. And they're trained well when they submit to the curriculum. So I don't mean to say lawful things like submit, but it's, you learn when you believe that you've got something to learn. And that's the challenge many times we're having with our new teachers coming into it, and where we need your support for the process. We're excited to be in this place. Do you know that we're like out in front nationally? People look to us for ideas because we've gone where no man could go before. Nanu, nanu, okay. But I'm a nerd, what can I say? But it's new, and so there's all of these places where there's stressors because we don't get it yet. Everyone doesn't get it yet. And I'm asking for your support as we go through this process to do what's right for our students. And if you have questions, that you bring them to us so that we can, as a district, build our institutional knowledge around what computer science is and what the right way is to teach it. So with that, I'm hoping that you have more questions for us. Yes.
Well, it's kind of a question. We've been doing this for a year, and I think we came in kind of, came in a little bit green. We didn't know what to expect. We were told we had to do it, so we thought we would go ahead and jump on the bandwagon. But as a former English teacher, what I realize is that a lot of these processes are about teaching students how to think. And it's not necessarily about computers or math or science. And my suggestion would be twofold. Over the summer, you're teaching the teachers who are going to teach. But if you could also bring in the administrators again to kind of reinforce that, but also maybe consider how you could make like a one-day lesson for an English teacher. What would this look like in an English classroom? So that they can start to think logically, because it's logic. And it's like, what is the next step? And I think that there are enough creative minds that could come up with, what does this look like in an English classroom? Or what could this look like in a social studies classroom? Then I think you have more whole school buy-in and students see that it's not an isolated class. It's how am I gonna think and show it and metacognition and move it beyond. Because not everyone's gonna be a computer scientist, but we all need to know how to think. So my suggestion would be, moving forward, is to think about how you can bring in other subject teachers so that they can buy in and then work in conjunction maybe with the computer science teachers.
And I totally appreciate that suggestion about having a class for your other teachers. One of the reasons why, and I'd like for you guys to speak to, one of the reasons why we don't bring administrators, for the most part, into the PD is that it's a place where you see a transformation over the 5 days. But it's because people are allowed to feel uncomfortable and jump out there and try something new and different. And many times we worry that if their boss is there, they won't jump out and try those things. So, okay. Okay. Okay.
And all these computational practices, change a couple of words, are things that you should be seeing in any class.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Okay.
So, and we've used this in our ILT.
Awesome.
We've looked at this, said, okay, what is it that you're doing in your English, your math, well, not math, they already did. But what are you doing and to what extent are you doing these things? Because it's just good thinking and good teaching. So I think
Absolutely.
they should be separate. I don't think they should be together
Okay.
necessarily.
Very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Let me kind of jump in. We're both at the same school, Infinity High School. This is our, we're part of cohort 3 to join. And so one of the things our teachers have given us as feedback is to sort of give a structure for how those PDs look. Last year, we had 2 teachers engaged in the summer week training, and then they've gone to some quarterly trainings throughout this year. They're asking now for me to kind of find out what this summer will look like and how it's going to be, how they're built upon the skills that they learned last summer. So last week, we got the CS program structure for our implementation plan, and that sort of gave us a guide to how we're going to implement CS for our classes moving forward to 2020 and so forth. What I'm asking so that I can provide to my teachers is how does that PD look for the teachers from last year? How does it build on from this year and then this summer coming ahead? Because my message to them is it's going to build, but I don't have the exact verbiage or transparency of how that training looks for them.
Okay.
So it may be some support in having me give that information to teachers.
Okay.
So I'd like to comment on that, and this is a question that's come up a lot of times. So if you think about other things that require skill, my wife's a piano teacher, right? And I could say to her, you already played that song. Don't play that song again. Well, no, I'm getting better at playing the song, and et cetera, right? You have to do it over and over. So the thing about the PD is that half of it is the content. And if it was just about the content, like originally we weren't going to go out to this training at UCLA originally because Don had seen the curriculum and Don told us, oh, it's the same old sort of stuff. We sort of know the basic content about computer science. And we were dismissive of it at the beginning. But when we went through the experience, we realized that the pedagogy and the practice of teaching it was really half of the experience for us. So because it's building the skill of how you teach,
What happens the second year is the teachers who've already done it the first year, they come back in the same process. They have a very different point of view because they've already done it once. Their questions are different questions. Their suggestions are different questions, but they are still refining the way they teach the course because it tends to be different than what a lot of teachers do in their classroom. Not everybody, but the fact that you have your students in groups, that they're talking to each other, that there's some peer instruction that goes on. So those components, the skill part of being the teacher and the pedagogy is the part that takes time to develop. Many times we have heard in professional development at the end of the second year, we have heard teachers say, oh, now I get it. And that's the second year. Because what we are trying to do is hard. We are not saying, learn binary, okay, you got it, good, done, go, right? I write this down because I think, oh, I haven't been doing this in my class. That's a good idea. I should do that as part of my practice. So I am refining and learning, and I've taught this for many, many years, of better ways to communicate. And as pointed out previously, depending on your group, you're going to have to do things differently different times. So that skill part of it is what takes time, and that's why it takes at least 2 times to do it. So how many years have we been doing this now? 6 years? 6 years. I still learn when I go to professional development. I get new ideas of how to do it, and I become better at doing it, and I've done it lots and lots of times. So for some teachers, if they're thinking it's just content, they're like, oh, I already know the content, so I'm done with that. But the practice part of it is why the repetition is really important. You want to add anything, Don?
Can I just add something to that? I've never been in a K-12 classroom, but I taught at the college level. And I believe that every time I added a new concept or curriculum, it took me 3 rotations to get really to that place where I needed to be for my students. And so I think one of the things I'd like to impart to people is that, and this is my Southern, this is not instant grits. You don't pour water, stir, boom. We don't, as Dale said, we don't put them together for 5 days and then go, you're on your own. Go forth and conquer. It's a concept of trying out something new, trying out something hard, going and doing it for 10 weeks, coming back together, talking about it, refining it, hearing ideas, building that community from across the district to say, how did you do that? You know, I've heard interesting things. We don't use peanut butter and jelly, we use Kool-Aid, we use this, we use that. It might have taken me 2 or 3 years to come up with that on my own, and that's a simple example. But in community, people get better. And one of the things that I know about teachers and about people is when it gets hard and when it turns out that it looks like a student might know more than they do, then they backslide into what they were doing before. And all of a sudden you hear, well, we tried that and we fell away. So the coming back together, we've had some teachers when we were doing this in CTE that would do it 3 years running and learn something every single time. So trust me, it's not gonna be a waste of time for them. They're gonna get more from it probably than they did the first time. And of course, we're not stopping them from continuing to come as much as they want. Okay.
So the quarterly, during the school year, there's 4 PDs, and they follow the units that we don't cover in the summertime. Summertime, we cover Unit 1, Unit 2, and then 3, 4, 5, and 6 during the school year. And as Brenda said, sometimes it'll be Unit 3, the web design unit, and all of a sudden there'll be a teacher there that's from 2 years ago and has already gone through the process and decided they needed to reinforce their skills, so that they heard that it was going to be this Saturday, so they show up. So it's kind of like a support group sometimes. Go ahead.
So in terms of feedback, for the curriculum, having transitioned from computer programming instructor to now principal, and seeing, maybe not teaching it for, 5, 6 years, but having experienced it for certainly quite a bit of time, and even in today's delivery, which was wonderful, I come back to the idea of pacing and assessing, because even though we use several strategies for the binary, I often see teachers still plunging forward through the curriculum, and there are children sitting there who we still aren't certain if they quite have that understanding of the binary down. So I would ask that during the training, that over the summer you build in some opportunities to stop and do some quick checks of, similarly to this activity here, but more, more formally, just to, because assessment is not something that, it requires reflection on both the student and the teacher, and it's not something that you can just, gloss over. The assessment can't just be at the end of the unit, and it has to be, sometimes these lessons seem like they can be great a day, but the teacher has to understand that they have to assess and they have to revisit, especially if this is not a skill of theirs, to deliver, revisit in a fashion that puts kids back on track. So I just really ask that you consider that for the summer's training.
Very much appreciate that feedback. Thank you. Absolutely. Any other questions or comments or? So you are so important to this equation in your position. We need feedback. We need this kind of feedback. We need your input. We need to hear how things are going so that we can address any issues that come up, and issues are going to come up, right? And so we've got a couple of strategies that we have prepared to help your teachers. I'd love to hear Don talk about the master teacher concept. And then there's one other one that we have, which is our TA community that we've built up or are building up or constantly trying to keep built up with our partner universities, which are Northwestern University, U of C, and IIT right now. And then we're looking to add more partners. And this is to bring in university level students that are many-time master's degree or PhD degree students to bring some additional content knowledge into the classroom to assist teachers, and also the concepts of project-based learning, and to just give the students and the teachers a fresh example of what people that are young people who've gone on into college and are studying computation even look like. So it's a multi-layered addition. But the master teacher concept is one that we're working together as a group under an NSF grant. And Don, you want to take a second on that?
Yeah. So what we're we're on our second grant from the National Science Foundation in support of this curriculum. And in the first one, what we found out, we had the PD and we're doing the quarterly PD and visiting with or seeing the teachers then. But we realized that what we needed to build into that was more contact time, especially in the first part of the school year for teachers that are just starting this. And so what we're doing now is an opportunity for teachers, if they feel they need some support, to do peer coaching and mentoring. So I'm one of the peer coaches, so it works similar to like the experience you had here. We have, and probably a little bit of your experience with your evaluations. We have a pre-visit, we don't call it evaluation, okay? A pre-visit conversation where we talk about, what's the classroom like? What would you like me to watch? What are some issues? I come to the school, I visit the classroom and observe and take notes, and then we have a post-visit conversation, which is sort of like the debrief, very similar to the debrief we had during the summertime. So it's something that the teacher is used to in terms of the structure and the type of conversation. And then that support is offered then continually through the year as either the teacher needs it or through frequent sort of conversations or contact from the coach.
And we can also offer a sub for your teacher to go and visit an exemplar teacher. If they want to go and see a particular lesson in action, we offer that as well. And we even have some technology gizmos that if a teacher is willing to videotape his or her own classroom and share it with the coach, that could be a way of creating an observation. So we will, in the new school year, offer opportunities to teachers. Normally we reach out starting in the professional development and ask teachers if they would be interested in this type of coaching, and then we do more throughout the year. We even sometimes will reach out to principals and say, do you think this might be a good idea for your teacher for us to offer them peer coaching? This is all voluntary, but we just wanted to let you know that it is available.
Just also that the assessment, it's not assessment of the teacher in terms of getting them in trouble. It's a resource to support them. So it doesn't get reported to their principal like, oh, they're doing a bad job. It's not that. It's the teacher says, here's what I want to focus on, and the coach helps them with that, but it's not used to report up as part of their performance review or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? You guys have been great today. Just want to say that everything of the resources that we've shared and others will be sent out to you via Google Drive so that you have access to it. You have access to all of us. My staff, is anybody that's in here, can you stand up? And I think most of them are in here. We all exist. Say your name and what your role is.
Rasmussen, project developer.
I'm Yaneli Briano, I'm an intern.
Okay. Okay. And we've got Carmen, who is our strategic ops manager, and who else is outside? Ishel, who is, so we have integration specialists for both high school and for elementary. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for doing this in your schools. Please reach out if you need anything. One more thing, if you are a small school and interested in having a potentially citywide teacher come and do this teaching at your school, need to hear from you because we're heavy into planning that right now. Okay? All right, thank you so much. Okay. Okay.